There are a number of different dynasties or empires throughout the world. These dynasties rise for different reasons and are of different sizes. Typically, a dynasty has its start on some sort of hereditary leadership based on family, power, or the religiosity of the leader. Other times it could be by consensus of a nationality or ethnicity, and over time, land is captured and the population rises. In some instances, major minorities in the area are absorbed, such as the Sorbs in Germany, and at other times, semi-autonomous regions are created. We can name empires such as the Assyrian, Harappan, Babylonian, Persian, Ottoman, Austro-Hungarian or Austrian, British, Napoleon, Russian, and even the short-lived Second Reich, the German Empire, all of which had humble beginnings and then rose to a world superpower. By reflecting on past world superpowers, we see certain aspects in their demise. The one thing we find from history is that all empires, governments, countries, nation-states, they rise and fall. It doesn't matter who they are, their reason for creation, or their ideology. All of them have a time of rise and progress when they get stronger and more powerful. But then they reach an apogee. They become the most powerful, influential, and advanced as they will be. This rise might take centuries. At other times, the circumstances are right, and in a few decades, they are unassailable. Next, there is a time of social and state consistency, the time of Pax Romana. This time could last for centuries or decades, or in some case, just a number of years. However, regardless of the power, ideology, or wealth, they all begin to fall. It's inevitable. By the way, all try to convince their populations it won't happen to them, and it's because the deity is on their side.
And a righteous mission, righteous mission, and a righteous mission.
As I've said, all empires fall, and for the same reasons. Some will argue with this, but history seems to bear this out. As always, some will say that this won't happen to our country. We're different. Or there's never been a country like us. Or because of race, religion, creed, or anything like that. It all sounds good, but it doesn't matter because they all fall. First, they become fixated on some form of ideology or mix of ideologies. This can be religion.
I'm a Protestant. I'm very proud of it. Presbyterian to be exact. This will lead to millions of new and really good paying jobs.
Societal, centralized or decentralized. And of course, politics. It can run its course from Jingoism to cosmopolitanism, from condemning a religion or raising one to supersede the ideals of the state. Responding examples would be the Jewish religion in Nazi Germany or Christianity in Constantine's Roman Empire. Over time, this ideology or ideologies become part of the social construct of national identity. It begins to divide people into who belongs and who doesn't belong in the beginnings of domestic social Darwinism. Second is the superiority of amusement. During the Roman time period, it was called moral decline, but in reality, that is just a small contributing factor. By far, it was the bread and circuses of the masses that helped bring about its demise. Along with this was the lack of emphasis of education and training. During this time, citizenry became more interested in being happy than to see what was going on around them. They became more involved in amusing themselves with the pleasure of the empire and becoming less connected to involvement in their duties as citizens of their country.
Spartans! What is your profession?
They followed whoever gave them a sense of protection and safety and played into their pleasure and wants, regardless of the consequences. One example of this is the need for mercenaries. Citizens less and less filled the ranks of the military, and the government used mercenaries to do the job the citizen army no longer did. Some of the ranks of these mercenaries were ex-enemies of the empire, and all of them were paid better and treated better than the troops. We see similar circumstances with the Ostrogoths of the Romans or the Yayas of the Ottomans. Third, government corruption. This can come in many forms, although it seems typically a combination of some mixture of oligarchs, plutocrats, and kleptocrats taking control of the government. It doesn't matter the type of government either. They can be democratic with a parliament, an autocratic monarchy, or any combination of political, economic union of governing. Regardless of the type of government, the overall effect is that the rich and powerful and their associates acquire more wealth and power while the poor and ignorant become locked into a cycle. When this occurs, the underprivileged have nothing to lose if they revolt, literally or figuratively. Anecdotally, it seems from prehistoric and biblical times up to modern instances that when women enter into the revolt, governments are doomed. Again, anecdotally. Fourth, degrading public health. This can come in the form of plagues, diseases, substance addictions or abuses, and unintentional societal poisoning. It's not that this can't happen to many different societies. It's the failure of society to address the problem. In some societies, this takes the form of pandemics, such as plagues and social diseases. Other times it could be poisoning through ignorance, such as with the lead pipes of Rome, or the nuclear testing and the spread of cancers across different parts of the US and the former Soviet Union. In fact, some could even point to the EPA's Superfund sites, or events such as Love Canal in Flint, Michigan, as examples. Then there are the problems of widespread drug abuse, from the opium that destroyed China and caused the Opium Wars to the current heroin epidemic in the Western Hemisphere, and the failure of battlers with drug cartels of Central America. The fifth sign could be considered nutritional challenges and stratification. This can come about for a number of reasons. It can be caused from exhaustion of the soil, from over-farming, drought, floods, or even irrigation. The result is food challenges for the population, and of course, along with this, the stratification of the haves and the have-nots. Added pressure such as this can intensify the burdens on society and the government which are trying to control or manage the situation. Worse yet is if the governing authorities do nothing and let the lower classes suffer and ferment. Overexpansion along with jingoism or even nationalism make up aspects of the sixth sign. The regime becomes overextended and over-involved in the world. In fact, they strive for hegemony over their neighbors and promote fear over their enemies. We can look historically at empires from Assyria to Persia to the Ottoman Empire to the former Soviet Union. Of course, let's not forget U.S. manifest destiny and the U.S. hegemony over Cuba and its creation of colonies in the Pacific. This ever-increasing of empire, either physically or economically, takes its toll on the population, and constantly involve more and more of the government's priorities to control its possessions. Massive amounts of government wealth go towards control and propping up of territories militarily. This money all comes at the expense of infrastructure, the hindrance of research and development, and limiting the betterment and expansion of education. The last and seventh sign is the constant feeling of perpetual eternal warfare against the nation-state. For the Assyrians, it was the Medes and the Chaldeans with the Hittites mixed in. For Rome, it was the German invasions. For the German Empire, Austro-Hungarian Empire, Russian Empire, and the Ottoman Empire, the Great War was the culprit. Overexpansion and the need to control your interest requires constant conflict. Populations lose their incentives to plan for the future when they don't know what the future might be or who may invade it. This can make a lasting impact on a country. Nations, regimes, and countries all suffer from these situations. 1, 2, or even 3 of these signs doesn't matter to a superpower. But when they all come into alignment, when they all occur, then the result seems inevitable. All empires, no matter how strong, powerful, or unique, eventually fall.